Hello and welcome to another episode of Battle Ready. That's what you get. That's what you get. So today I thought I'd talk about something that was strange to me when we first started the hobby, and over time it's become not really a big deal at all. But and that is points changes. Points changes. So Drake, what are points?
Basically the power level of a model.
Yeah. So every model, when Age of Sigmar first started, it was sort of like bring whatever models you want and have fun, roll dice, and that was
Not good.
Not good. We weren't around, we weren't playing at that time, but I can only imagine that was not fun. And so what they did instead, and what most other war games do, is they have a point system where they say, all right, we're each gonna bring 1,000 points or 2,000 points or whatever the number is, arbitrary number, and then every single model or unit has a points value, and that points value represents their goodness, right? How strong they are, right? So you have a unit of 10 skinks, which are usually pretty dumb, and so they're 80 points or 70 points or whatever they are. Or you have a unit to get 10 units of
brutes,
vindictors.
10 units?
10 units, 10 models of vindictors. That's 200 something points, 260. I forget exactly.
That's a lot.
Or 6 ogres, 6 gluttons, it's like 260. And so that way, if you add up all the points, if you both have, in AOS case, 2,000 points, you're
about the same.
About the same. I mean, the game is not perfectly balanced because, then it wouldn't be fun, or it wouldn't be as fun. The asymmetricalness, that people having different powers and different lore and stuff, that makes the game what it is. So it's never going to be perfect, but it gets you in the ballpark, right? In the ballpark. But every so often, they change up the points. Typically, they used to do it once in the winter and once when the General's Handbook came out.
Mm-hmm.
More recently, they've been doing it quarterly, so every 3 months. And Drake, why do they change points? It's to get you to buy different models.
No.
Why do they make you change points?
They change points because, say you have like a unit of brutes. Their points level is like Sablavitar.
Okay.
I don't know what their points level is.
Okay.
But if they keep showing up in like tournaments and like everyone's using brutes, like, everyone's using brutes, we better make them worth more points. And their points get higher.
Yeah. So Drake is absolutely correct.
Woo!
They tend to look at tournament lists. I don't know. Recently, they've been showing a lot of data, so I guess that they are following that a little bit more closely. I don't know how much data they use and how much they sort of just wing it sometimes with their points. But if they see a unit showing up a lot, that means to them, oh, well, this unit must be good or must be super efficient. It's showing up because it's good for the points. Yeah, Scragrot's probably going to be like that. I bet I would be surprised if we don't see a Scragrot point increase the next time.
A decrease.
That would be nuts.
90 points.
So they're like, okay, this we're seeing too many of these guys. We're going to increase the points because they're too good. So we increase the points so that the points match their goodness. And similarly, if something never shows up, they might say, oh man, this isn't good. These guys aren't doing good at all. We better lower their points so we can see them more so that their points match their goodness. Overall, I think it's a good ideal. I don't know that they always hit the mark on everything.
They do sometimes.
Sometimes they do good, but Gut Rippers at 180. Right? I mean, there's just some things that not quite in the right spot. But I think they try to get to the right spot. The only negative, though, is they tend to base the points values around tournament play because that's where the data is easy to get. That's the events are what people see. They don't come to everybody's garage, basement, and look for people playing Warhammer. They see only when people come out to various events and tournaments and things like that. So that sort of scene, which is different from the casual scene, tends to take the lead a little bit on points. So you just have to understand that when you're, if you're not in the tournament scene, that scene is going to have a larger influence than you on what the points should be.
Yeah.
Now, what if you've got a great list and you're having a blast with it? And you're playing with your friends, playing with your kid, and everyone's just having a good time playing this list. And then 3 months later, points changes. And now your list is like 2,100 points. You got to take something out. But you loved having all those different units and you loved playing with it. So how do you deal with that?
If you have a reinforced unit, you just de-reinforce it.
Yeah, so there's different ways you can certainly reduce points, right? You remove a unit.
Take out endless spells.
Take out endless spells. That's the best. Is when my list was sort of low anyway, and I had to throw an endless spell in to get as close to 2,000, and then the points go up, but they go up by less than the endless spell. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just take the endless spell out, and I get to play the same game since I forget to cast endless spells like half the time anyway.
He never remembers.
So yeah, that's the best. But sometimes it can be hard, and sometimes your favorite list gets broken where you're like, oh, this unit was absolutely needed to hold an objective. And this unit was absolutely needed to screen. And this unit was absolutely needed because I had to shoot their big guy from across the thing. And this unit was, you have your whole synergistic list.
Big words.
And now it's gone. And now it's broken. Now you can't bring it.
Yeah.
And that can be unfortunate. To
say the least.
Yes. What I will say is, first of all, that doesn't happen all that often. Usually there's some fat to trim, or is that my arm is fat? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
No. Usually there's some fat to trim, or there's some adjustments that can be made. You can have a unit sort of do double duty rather than be dedicated. There's different stuff like that. But also, even where it becomes very difficult, this happened, I don't know, a while back with one of my Seraphon lists, which I was having a blast with, and they upped all the points of the Seraphons. And man, I just lost so many units. And so what I ended up doing was I had 2 Croxagors, so I went down to 1, but that let me take out the Moonhammer, so my 3 Croxagors had normal weapons. That was sort of cool.
Yeah.
I had to decide between taking out one of the big monsters like the Troglodon or the Carnosaur, or a Bastillodon, and I'm like, well, we're getting rid of the Bastillodon then because the big monsters are cool. Mm-hmm. And so, but the cool thing that came out of it was once I knew my list wasn't going to fly anymore, I sort of just razed the whole thing to the ground, smashed it into the earth, and then built it up anew. And that was actually sort of fun because even though I liked the old Seraphon list and I would still play it, it was fun. It was good to have an impetus to create something new. And I think that's when I ended up getting the reinforced skinks so I could have different things going on. But it was really fun to take my Seraphon list that I had been playing and enjoying and then just rework it so the units, it's a lot of the same carryover, right? I didn't just blow out everything. I still have my Carnosaur. I still have my Troglodon. But then I'm looking at the list in a different light and I'm saying, okay, now that I have this, I can't have my old list, what new list can I build? And that actually was sort of fun because it let me experience the Seraphon in a different way. It wasn't just my Seraphon list. It was a new way to play the army.
Oh yeah, we also lost the bird thingamajiggies.
The bird thingamajiggies?
Yeah, there were some guys, stinks who rode on little...
Oh, the Ripperdactyls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ripperdactyl!
Yeah. Ripperdactyls. The Ripperdactyls were in my list and I liked them, but I got them in the start collecting. They were sort of fun, but they were an easy cut.
Toad.
They were the Plot Toad. They were an easy one to get rid of because they weren't doing a whole lot in my list. So
they were throwing projectiles.
They did some stuff. They weren't terrible. Their maneuverability was the best part about them, I think.
Yeah, just snagging objectives.
So even though I think a lot of people, especially if you aren't used to wargaming, if you come from, like I did, from board gaming, you sort of feel like you should buy the thing, and then there you go. Now you've got the game. You bought the game. Now you have the game. Now you can play the game. And wargaming, at least Age of Sigmar, isn't really like that. You buy some stuff and you can play the game. And if you don't care about points, right? If you're not following the Games Workshop updates and stuff like that.
Get rid of it.
You don't have to, right? You can just play with your friends and have fun. There's no no policeman's going to knock on your door and say, "Hey, you have 2,100 points in that list," right? Nobody cares, right? But if you are sort of following that and you do want to make sure that your lists are as balanced as possible, again, recognizing that perfect balance is impossible.
Almost.
No, yeah, in the AOS, it's not possible.
I mean, if you had 2 Stormcast lists with the exact same...
If you had 2 lists with the exact same units?
Yes, exact replication of everything.
Yes, that's
then
true.
Then you're even.
That's true. That would be even. But that would be pretty lame. You gotta... One of the best things about Age of Sigmar is the variety. For sure. So, yeah, so being able to shake up those lists and play in a different way, and good shaking. And it's almost like in Magic the Gathering, where you would have cards that would come out and they'd be, legal for a couple of years, and then they'd rotate out, and the next block of cards would come out. They don't do blocks anymore. It shows you how long ago I played Magic. But so that there would be this rotation, and so every so often you'd get to build a whole new deck and try out a new strategy. And it felt bad at first because you're like, oh, these were the cards I loved so much, and they're going away now. But at the same time, the new cards would come in, and you'd think, oh, now I have the opportunity to build a big creature deck, whereas before I was playing control, right? Or now I have the ability to do a super fast aggro deck with a bunch of little creatures that attack super fast, whereas before I had a lot of healing and other stuff, and I was trying to win on spells, or I was really using the mechanic like Storm or Madness or whatever from the prior set. So it is a way that inadvertently, as a sort of a side effect, I think it has a way of keeping the game a little bit more fresh than it would otherwise. So if you're concerned at all about points changes and not being able to play with your models and that sort of thing, I think those concerns are pretty overblown.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you can do whatever you want. But second of all, it really does help to stir the pot a little bit, to mix things up. Points changes, thoughts?
The one sad thing is if they mess up with your points so bad that there's no alternative except to get rid of models.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a pretty big point change, sometimes that means you're just going to have models that sit out. Like I said, we used to have 2 Croxagors, right? Our new Seraphon list only uses 1 set, so 1 set just sits out. Now we still have it. Points could change again in the future, and I'll bring those bad boys right back in. So it's not as though you can't play with your toys. And if I wanted to do 2 Croxagors, I could take something else out, right? Mm-hmm. So it gives me more options. And what's interesting is sometimes it goes the other way. We have a Slaanesh army.
Yes.
Mostly mortals.
A couple of demons,
but mostly
couple
mortals.
Of demon mounts.
And when the book came out, right at the end of 2.0.
So towards the end.
The points were just really high. And then when 3.0 hit, the points went up. So it was like, man, you had 3 units on the table, it felt like, when you're fighting these guys. And over time, the points have come down and down and down and down.
Now you have 1 billion.
And now it's crazy. I feel like sometimes I'm stretching a little bit to get enough models on the table, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I'll bring in that Hellflayer. Ooh, I guess I'll bring in 10 Demonettes or 20 Demonettes here, because I'm looking for more stuff to bring in order to get up to 2,000 points. So having the opposite problem can happen as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess I suppose I could buy more models, but then I'd have to pay money. I'd have to buy models. So I don't know. Maybe they have a new book coming out at some point in the relatively near future. So maybe we'll see what that looks like, and maybe that'll cause me to, maybe they'll come out with some model, or maybe suddenly Slangors will be really good.
Slangors?
And I'll be like, oh man, I gotta get me some Slangors.
Those are models?
Those are the Beasts of Chaos. The Slaanesh beasts are Slangors.
I bet they're really good at slang.
Just like Zangors, only not Zinch. Slaanesh. Slangors.
So they're There are Korngors and Nurgors.
The Nurgors are called Pestigors, but yes, there are Korngors, Slangors, Zangors, and Pestigors. Gors. And Croxagors. All right. So anyway, I guess the bottom line is that points changes happen. They may feel bad initially, but they do have some really good and positive knock-on effects, both for the game and sort of for the hobby in general, for your games actually. And even though sometimes points changes get made where somebody's spamming rot flies, and not me, I don't have enough. We got 2 rot flies.
I'm just.
Oh, you're spamming. Somebody's spamming rot flies, and so they have to increase the points because that's being too powerful in the tournament. And then if you just had your 1 rot fly unit, then you get punished. You're like, oh man, my 1 rot fly unit costs like 20 more points or 30 more points or whatever. What's going on? So that does happen, but overall, I think the point system is good, and the changes that come with points on balance are a net positive, even if there are some unfortunate initial effects. Last final thoughts?
No, because I was going to comment on what happens if points go down, but then you covered that.
We got the Slaanesh part.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, this has been another episode of Battle Ready. Thanks so much for watching.